Hello all, welcome back to Tangents on Cracked Spines, my lovely little bookworms. For those of you who don't know, this is your host Frankie speaking, and I read with unedited personal commentary books in the public domain. We are currently reading a Nonsense Anthology, so I don't really have summaries from the previous one because it's a collection of poems, really. Ooh, hi. There's a cat. Oof, hi. And, sorry, cat wants love. So yeah, there's no synopsis. There was a lot of animal-related things and a lot of, rhyming and alliteration in the last one, if I'm not mistaken. We're going back in with animals, as when I start. But before I start, I want to make it perfectly clear that just because something is old enough to be in the public domain does not mean that it is appropriate for all ears. There is adult, content and violence in a lot of these. So, listener discretion is advised, especially if you are under 13. Otherwise, enjoy. I'm crazy. Alright, we're starting back in. Supposedly we are 76% of the way through with The Frog. Be kind and tender to the frog, and do not call him names, as Slimy Skin or Pollywog, or likewise Uncle James. I don't get that one. Or, I take it that means you do? Okay. Sorry, it's another day when I'm in my living room speaking, so my mum can comment as well, in addition to my cats.
I was snickering at your tangent.
Okay. Or Gape a Grin or Toad Gone Wrong, or Billy Bandy Knees. The frog is justly sensitive to epithets like these. No animal will more repay a treatment kind and fair, at least so lonely people say who keep a frog, and by the way, they are extremely rare. By Hilary Belloc. I like frogs! I don't keep one, but there's plenty in my yard. Trying to pull into my driveway without killing them.
Frogs?
Yes.
I try not to kill the slugs.
Oh, those two. The yak. As a friend to the children, commend me the yak. You will find it exactly the thing. It will carry and fetch. You can ride on its back or lead it about with a string. A Tartar who dwells on the plains of Tibet, a desolate region of snow, has for centuries made it a nursery pet, and surely the Tartar should know. Then tell your papa where the yak can be got, and if he is awfully rich, he will buy you the creature, or else he will not. I cannot be positive which. Apparently we're in a Hilary Belloc section, so assume she is writing these, unless I state otherwise. The python. A python I should not advise, and needs a doctor for its eyes, and it has the measles yearly. However, if you feel inclined to get one, to improve your mind and not from fashion merely, allow no music near its cage, and when it flies into a rage, chasing it most severely. That is not how you treat a python. I had an aunt in Yucatan who bought a python from a man and kept it for a pet. She died because she never knew the simple little rules and few. The snake is living yet. Yeah, and probably ate her. Snakes don't normally get that large enough to eat a person. But, if you're not treating them well. The bison. The bison is vain, and I write it with pain. The doormat you see on its head is not, as some learned professors maintain, the opulent growth of a genius's brain, but is sewn on with needle and thread. Well, this is a nonsense book. The panther. Be kind to the panther. At least she's saying be kind to all these animals. For when thou wert young, in thy country far over the sea, 'twas the panther ate up thy papa and mamma. Really? And had several mouthfuls of thee. Be kind to the badger, for who shall decide the depths of his badgerly soul? And think of the taper when flashes the lamp o'er the fast and the free-flowing bowl. Be kind to the camel, nor let word of thine ever put up his Bactrian back, and cherish the she-kangaroo with her bag, nor venture to give her the sack. Be kind to the ostrich, for how canst thou hope to have such a stomach as it? And when the proud day of your bridal shall come, do give the poor birdie a bit. Be kind to the walrus, nor ever forget to have it on Tuesday to tea, but butter the crumpets on only one side, save such as are eaten by thee. Be kind to the bison, and let the jackal in the light of thy love have a share, and coax the ichneumon to grow a new tail, and have lots of larks in its lair. Be kind to the bustard, that genial bird. I'm wondering if that was supposed to be buzzard, but it says bustard. And humor its wishes and ways, and when the poor elephant suffers from bile, the tenderly lace up his stays. That one was anonymous. Okay, I'm in pain. I need to move. Ow. The monkey's glue. When the monkey in his madness took the glue to mend his voice, 'twas the crawfish showed his sadness that the bluebird could rejoice. When the perspicacious parrot sought to save the suicide by administering carrot, but the monkey merely died. So the crawfish and the parrot sauntered slowly toward the sea, while the bluebird stole the carrot and returned the glue to me. Okay. Goldwyn Goldsmith. There was a frog. There was a frog swum in the lake, the crab came crawling by. Wilt thou, quoth the frog, be my make? Quoth the crab, no, not I. My skin is smooth and dappled fine, I can leap far and nigh. The shell is hard, so is not mine. Quoth the crab, no, not I. Tell me, then, spake the crab, therefore or else I thee defy. Give me thy claw, I ask no more. Quoth the frog, that will I. The crab bit off the frog's 4 feet. The frog then he must die. To woo a crab it is not meet, if any do, it is not I. From Christchurch, Mission 1549. The bloated bigaboon. The bloated bigaboon was so haughty he would not repose in a house or a hall or said chooses, but he slept his high sleep in his clothes neath the moon. The bloated bigaboon poured contempt upon waistcoat and skirt, holding swallowtails even as dirt, so he puffed himself out in his shirt like a balloon. H. Calamondali Pennell? I don't know. I hope I said that right. It looks like a disease. Wildflowers. Of what are you afraid, my child? Inquired the kindly teacher. Oh, sir, the flowers, they are wild, replied the timid creature. Peter Newell. Timid Hortense. Now, if the fish will only bite, we'll have some royal fun. And do fish bite the horrid things? Indeed, I'll catch not one. Peter Newell. Oh, I'm in the Peter Newell area. Her polka dots. She played upon her music box a fancy air by chance, and straightway all her polka dots began a lively dance. Her diary. A milkweed and a buttercup and a cowslip, said sweet Mary, are growing in my garden plot, and this I call my diary. Okay. Turvy Top. 'Twas after a supper of Norfolk brawn that into a doze I chanced to drop, and thence awoke in the grey of dawn in the wonderland of Turvy Top. A land so strange I never had seen, and could not choose but look and laugh. A land where the small the great includes, and the whole is less than the half. A land where the circles were not lines round central points, as schoolmen show, and the parallels met whenever they chose, and when playing at touch and go. There, except that every round was square, and save that all the squares were rounds, no surface had limits anywhere, so they never could beat the bounds. In their gardens fruit before blossom came, and the trees diminished as they grew, and you never went out to walk a mile, 'twas the mile that walked to you. The people there are not tall or short, heavy or light, or stout or thin, and their lives begin where they should leave off, or leave off where they should begin. Their childhood, with naught of childish glee, looks on the world with thoughtful brow. 'Tis only the age to laugh and crow and cry, "We have done with it now!" A singular race, what lives they spent, got up before they went to bed, and never a man said what he meant, or a woman meant what she said. At least they were equal in gender that way. They blended colors that will not blend, all hideous contrasts voted sweet. In yellow and red their Quakers dressed, and considered it rather neat. They didn't believe in the wise and good, said the best were worse and the wisest fools, and 'twas only to have their teachers taught that they founded national schools. I want to make comments, but I try to make this a good podcast. A happy podcast. A happy podcast with the stuff that I read. Go figure. They read in books that are no books, their classics chessboards neatly bound. Those their greatest authors who never wrote, and their deepest the least profound. Now such were the folks of that wonderland, a curious people, as you will own. But are there none of the race abroad? Are no specimens elsewhere known? Well, I think that he whose views of life are crooked, wrong, perverse, and odd, who looks upon all with jaundiced eyes, sees himself and believes it God, who sneers at the good and makes it the ill, curses a world he cannot mend, who measures life by the rule of wrong and abuses its aim and end. The man who stays when he ought to move and only goes when he ought to stop is strangely like the folk in my dream and would flourish in Turvy Top. No wonder that one's anonymous. What the Prince of I dreamt. I dreamt it! Such a funny thing! And now it's taken wing. I suppose no man before since dreamt such a funny thing. It had a dragon with a tail both long and slim, and every day he wagged it. How good it was of him! And so to him the tailest of all three-tailed bashaws suggested that for reasons the wagging should pause, and held its tail, which, parting, reversed that bashaw, which reversed that dragon, who reversed himself into a ditch. I don't write these things. It had a monkey in a trap, suspended by the tail. That's cruel. Oh, but that monkey looked distressed, no crap. And his countenance was pale. And he had danced and dangled there till he grew very mad. For his tail it was a handsome tail, and the trap had pinched it bad. I think that's the least of his problems. The trapper sat below and grinned. His victim's wrath waxed hot. He bit his tail in two and fell, and killed him on the spot. Did he kill the hunter or the monkey? It had a pig, a stately pig, with curly tail and quaint, and the great mogul had hold of that till he was like to faint. So 20,000 Chinamen, with 3 tails each at least. What is up with their tails? 3 tails in this. And also, why do they have them? Came up to help the great mogul and took him round the waist. And so the tail slipped through his hands, and so it came to pass that 20,000 Chinamen sat down upon the grass. I'm not liking this poem. I'm not sure it's considered a poem at this point, jeez. It had a con, a Tartar con, with tail superb I wis, and that fell graceful down a back, which was considered his. Wherefore all sorts of boys that were recused swung by it, till he grew savage in his mind, and vexed above a bit. And so he swept his tail, as one awakening from a dream, and those abominable ones flew off into the stream. Likewise they hobbled up and down, like many apples there, till they subsided, and became amongst the things that were. And so it had a moral, too, that would be bad to lose. Whoever takes the tail in hand should mind his P's and Q's. I dreamt it, such a funny thing, and now it's taken wing. I suppose no man before or since dreamt such a funny thing. It's the same person with the chlamydia-sounding last name. H. Colmondele Pennell. The Dinky Bird. In an ocean way out yonder, as all sapient people know, is the land of Wonder Wander, whither children love to go. It's their playing, romping, swinging, that give great joy to me, while the dinky bird goes singing in the amphalula tree. There the gumdrops grow like cherries, and taffies thick as peas. Caramels you pick like berries, when and where and how you please. Big red sugar plums are clinging to the cliffs beside the sea, where the dinky bird is singing in the amphalula tree. So when children shout and scamper, and make merry all the day, when there's naught to put a damper to the ardor of their play, when I hear their laughter ringing, then I'm sure as sure can be that the dinky bird is singing in the amphalula tree. For the dinky bird's bravoras and staccatos are so sweet, his rondellas, apagaturas, and robustos so complete, that the youth of every nation, be they near or far away, have a special delectation in that gladsome roundelay. Their eyes grow bright and brighter, their lungs begin to crow, their hearts get light and lighter, and their cheeks are all aglow. For an echo cometh, bringing the news to all and me, that the dinky bird is singing in the amphalula tree. I'm sure you'd like to go there to see your feathered friend, and so many goodies grow there you would like to comprehend. Speed, little dreams, you're winging to that land across the sea, where the dinky bird is singing in the amphalula tree. Eugene Field. The Man in the Moon. Said the Raggedy Man on a hot afternoon, "My sakes, what a lot of mistakes some little folks make on the Man in the Moon. But people that's been up to see him like me, and calls on him frequent and intimately, might drop a few hints that would interest you clean through if you wanted 'em to, some actual facts that might interest you. Oh, the Man in the Moon has a crick in his back, wee whim, ain't you sorry for him? And a mole on his nose that is purple and black, and his eyes are so weak that they water and run if he dares to dream, even if he looks at the sun. So he just dreams of the stars as the doctors advise. My eyes! But isn't it wise to just dream of stars as the doctors advise? And the Man in the Moon has a boil in his ear. Wee wing, what a singular thing. I know, but these facts are authentic, my dear. There's a boil in his ear and a corn on his chin. He calls it a dimple, but dimples stick in. Yet it might be a dimple turned over, you know. Wang ho! Why, certainly so. It might be a dimple turned over, you know. And the Man in the Moon has a rheumatic knee. Gee whiz, what a pity that is. And his toes have worked round where his heels ought to be. So whenever he wants to go north, he goes south, and comes back with the porridge crumbs all round his mouth. And he brushes them off with a Japanese fan. Wing wan, what a marvelous man! What a very remarkably marvelous man! And the Man in the Moon, said a Raggedy Man, gets so solemn, you know, up there by himself since creation began, that when I call on him and then come away, he grabs me and holds me and begs me to stay. Till, well, if it wasn't for Jimmy come Jim Dad Lim, I'd go partners with him. Just jump my bob here and be partners with him. James Whitcomb Riley. Now a pause that you won't get. recognize because I need a drink. I'm back. The story of the wild huntsman. This is the wild huntsman that shoots the hares with the grass green coat he always wears, with game bag, powder horn, and gun. He's going out to have some fun. He finds it hard without a pair of spectacles to shoot the hare. He puts his spectacles upon his nose and said, "Now I will shoot the hares and kill them dead." I suppose you should like your job. And, hares do make food and have good fur. Although I suppose you can't really use the fur if you're shooting them and not trapping them. But I'm not sure you should like it that much. The hare sits snug on leaves and grass and laughs to see the green man pass. Now as the sun grew very hot and he a heavy gun had got, he lay down underneath a tree and went to sleep, as you may see. And while he slept like any top, the little hare came hop, 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 took gun and spectacles, and then softly on tiptoe went off again. That's funny. The green man wakes and sees her place the spectacles upon her face. She pointed the gun at the hunter's heart, who jumped up at once with a start. Is this where Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny came from? Pretty sure this came out before them. He cries and screams and runs away. "Help me, good people! Help, I pray!" It's a rabbit with a gun. I probably should have made a Monty Python reference, but that one just chews your throat out. At last he stumbled at the well, head over ears in, and he fell. Oh no. Hunters do have a place. He didn't deserve to die. The hare stopped short, took aim, and hark, bang went the gun. She missed her mark. The poor man's wife was drinking up her coffee in her coffee cup. The gun shot cup and saucer through. "Oh dear," she cried, "what shall I do?" Hiding close by the cottage there was the hare's own child, the little hare. When he heard the shot, he quickly arose, and when he stood upon his toes, the coffee fell and burned his nose. "Aw! Oh dear," he cried, "what burns me so?" and held up the spoon with his little toe. Dr. Heinrich Hoffmann. That was an odd little Bugs Bunny episode. The story of Pyramid. I want to say tomes and not thomes. Because it's THOTHMES. So I'm going to call it tomes. Because our language is terrible. Thomas, who loved a pyramid and dreamed of wonders that it hid, took up again one afternoon his longest staff, his sandal shoon, his evening meal, his pilgrim flask, and set himself at length the task, scorning the smaller and the small, to climb the highest one of all. The sun was very hot indeed, yet Thomas never slacked his speed, until upon the topmost stone he lightly sat him down alone, to make himself some pleasant cheer, and turned to take his flask of beer, for he was weary and athirst. Forth from the neck the stopper burst, and rudely waked the sleeping dead. A terror guilty Thomas fled, as rose majestic, wroth and slow, the Pharaoh's ka of long ago. "Help, help," he cried, "or I am lost. Oh, save me from old Pharaoh's ghost." That took a turn I wasn't expecting. Till uttering one fearful yell, he stumbled at the base and fell, where Anubis was at his side, and by the god of death he died. The wife of Thomas learned his tale first from the Memphis Evening Mail, and called her son, and told their woe. "Alas," said she, "I told him so. Oh, think upon these awful things, and mount not on the graves of kings. A pyramid is strange to see, though only at its base you be." That one was anonymous. The story of Cruel Samtek. Here is cruel Semtex, such a wicked boy was he, chased the ibis round about, plucked its longest feathers out, stamped upon the sacred scarab like an unbelieving Arab, put the dog and cat to pain, making him to howl again. Only think that he would do, tease the awful apis too. Basking by the sacred Nile lay the trusting crocodile. Cruel Semtek crept round him, laughed to think how he had found him. With his pincer seized his tail, made the holy one to wail, till a priest of Isis came, called the wicked boy by name, shut him in a pyramid where his punishment was hid. Oh my. But that's what happens when you're cruel to animals. But the crocodile, the while bore the pincers up the Nile, here the scribe who taught him letters and respect for all his betters, gave him many a heavy task, horrid medicines from a flask, while on bread and water too, bitter penance must he do. The crocodile is blithe and gay, with friends and family at play, and cries, O blessed land of Nile, where sacred is the crocodile, where no ill deed unpunished goes, and man himself rewards our foes. Anonymous. The Cummerbunds. I strolled beside the shining sea. I was as lonely as could be. No one to cheer me in my walk but stones and sand, which cannot talk. Well, unless you're not all there. Sand and stones and bits of shell which never have a thing to tell. But as I sauntered by the tide, I saw something at my side. A something green and blue and pink and brown and purple too, I think. I have to sneeze. I would not say how large it was. I would not venture that, because it took me rather by surprise, and I have not the best of eyes. Neither do I. That's why I wear glasses. Should you compare it to a cat, I'd say it was as large as that. Or should you ask me if the thing was smaller than a sparrow's wing, I should be apt to think you knew, and simply answer, very true. Well, as I looked upon the thing, it murmured, Please, sir, can I sing? And then I knew its name at once. It plainly was a cummerbunds. You are amazed that I could tell the creature's name so quickly? Well, I knew it was not a paper doll, a pencil, or a parasol, a tennis racket, or a cheese, and as it was not one of these, and I am not a perfect dunce, it had to be a cummerbunds. Sure. With pleading voice and tearful eye, it seemed as though about to cry. It looked so pitiful and sad, it made me feel extremely bad. My heart was softened to the thing that asked me if it please could sing. Its little hand I longed to shake, but oh, it had no hand to shake. I bent and drew the creature near, and whispered in its pale blue ear, What? Sing, my cummerbunds? You can! Sing on, sing loudly, sing, little man! The cummerbunds, without ado, gazed sadly on the ocean blue, and lifted up its little head, in tones of awful longing said, Oh, I would sing of mackerel skies, and why the sea is wet, of jellyfish and conger eels, and things that I forget. And I would hum a plaintive tune of why the waves are hot, as water boiling on a stove, excepting that they're not. And I would sing of hooks and eyes, and why the sea is slant, and gaily tips the little ships, excepting that I can't. I never sang a single song, I never hummed a note. There is in me no melody, no music in my throat. So that is why I do not sing of sharks or whales or anything. I looked in innocent surprise, my wonder showing in my eyes. Then why, O cummerbunds, I cried, did you come walking at my side, and ask me if you please might sing, when you could not warble anything? I did not ask permission, sir. I really did not, I aver. You, sir, misunderstood me quite. I did not ask you if I might. You had you correctly understood, you'd know I asked you if I could. As I cannot sing a song, your answer is plain. It was wrong. The fact I could not sing I knew, but wanted your opinion too. A voice came softly over the lea. Farewell, my mate is calling me. I saw the creature disappear. Its voice in parting smote my ear. I thought all people understood the difference between might and could. Paul West. That's a very long way of doing the old joke of, hey, can I do a thing? I don't know, can you? Animals. The Akond of Swat. Who or why or which or what is the Akond of Swat? That's what I would like to know, yes. Is he tall or short, dark or fair? Does he sit on a stool or sofa or chair or squat? The Akond of Swat. Is he wise or foolish, young or old? Does he drink his soup and his coffee cold or hot? The Akond of Swat. Does he sing or whistle, jabber or talk? When riding abroad, does he gallop or walk or trot? The Akond of Swat. Does he wear a turban, a fez, or a hat? Does he sleep on a mattress, a bed, or a mat, or a cot? The Akond of Swat. When he writes a copy in round-hand size, does he cross his T's and finish his I's with a dot? The Akond of Swat. Can he write a letter concisely clear without a speck or smudge or smear or a blot? The Akond of Swat. Do his people like him extremely well, or do they, whenever they can, rebel or plot at the Akond of Swat? If he catches them then, either old or young, does he have them chopped in pieces or hung, or shot? The Akond of Swat. Do his people prig the lanes or park, or even at times when days are dark, garrot? Oh, the Akond of Swat. Does he study the wants of his own dominion, or doesn't he care for public opinion a jot? The Akond of Swat. To amuse his mind, do his people show him pictures, or anyone's last new poem, or what, for the Akond of Swat? At night, if he suddenly screams and wakes, do they bring him only a few small cakes, or a lot, for the Akond of Swat? Does he live on turnips, tea, or tripe? Does he like his shawl to be marked with a stripe or a dot? The Akond of Swat. Does he like to lie on his back in a boat like the lady who lived in that isle remote, Shalott? The Akond of Swat. Is he quiet or always making a fuss? Is his steward a Swiss or a Swede or a Russ or a Scot? The Akond of Swat. Pretty sure none of those are good ways to refer to people. Does he like to sit by the calm blue wave, or to sleep and snore in a dark green cave or a grot? The Akond of Swat. Does he drink small beer from a silver jug, or a bowl, or a glass, or a cup, or a mug, or a pot? The Akond of Swat. Does he beat his wife with a gold-topped pipe when she lets the gooseberries grow too ripe or rot? The Akond of Swat. That got awfully specific. He shouldn't be beating his wife no matter what, unless she hit him first. Does he wear a white tie when he dines with his friends, or tie it in neat in a bow with ends, or a knot? The Akond of Swat. Does he like a new cream and hate mince pies? When he looks at the sun, does he wink his eyes or not? The Akond of Swat. Does he teach the subjects to roast and bake? Does he sail about on an inland lake in a yacht? The Akond of Swat. Someone or nobody knows what, who or which or why or what is the Akond of Swat. Of course that's an Edward Lear poem. At least it rhymed. Threnody. What's the news from Swat? Sad news, bad news. Comes by the cable, led through the Indian Ocean's bed, through the Persian Gulf, the Red Sea, and the Mediterranean. He's dead. The Akun is dead. For the Akun I mourn, who wouldn't? He strove to disregard the message stern, but he couldn't. Really? Dead, 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 sorrow Swats, Swats wahiwi, Akun bled, Swats whom he hath often led onward to a glory bed, or to victory, as the case might be. Sorrow Swats, tears shed like water. Your great Akun is dead, the Swat's the matter. That's Swat's the matter. Mourn, city of Swat, your great Akun does not, but lain mid worms to rot. His mortal part alone, his soul was caught, because he was a good Akun, up to the bosom of Mahoon. Though earthly walls his frame surround, forever hallowed be the ground, and septics mock the lowly mound, and say, he's now of no Akund. His soul is in the skies, the azure skies that bend above his loved metropolis of Swat. He sees with larger other eyes, athwart all earthly mysteries, he knows what's swat. Let swat bury the great Akun with the noise of mourning and of lamentation. Let swat bury the great Akun with the noise of the mourning of the Swattish nation. Fallen is at length its tower of strength, its sun is dimmed ere it had nooned. Dead lies the great Akun of Swat is not. That one is George Thomas Lanigan. Were they all like riffing off of each other, or was the Akun of Swat a thing? Dirge of the Mullah of Kodal, rival of the Akun of Swat. Alas, unhappy land, ill-fated spot, Kodal, though where or what on earth Kodal is, the bard has forgot. Further than this indeed he knoweth not, it borders upon Swat. When sorrows come, they come not single spies, but in battalions. The gloom that lay on Swat now lies upon Kodal, on sad Kodal, whose people ululate, U-L-U-L-A-T, for their loved mullah late. Put away his little turban and his nargilla embrowned, the lord of Kodal, rural urban, gone unto the last Akuns, gone to meet the rival Swatins, gone indeed, but not forgotten. His rival, but in what? Wherein did the deceased Akun of Swat, Kodal's lamented mullah late, as it were, emulate? Was it in the tented field with crash of sword on shield, while backward meaner champions reeled and loud the tom-tom pealed? Did they barter gash for scar with the Persian scimitar or the Afghanistan tulwar? While loud the tom-tom pealed, and the jim-jam squealed, and champions less well-heeled, their war horses wheeled and fled the presence of these mortal big bugs of the field. Was Kodal's proud citadel bastioned and demiluned, beaten down with shot and shell by the guns of the Akun? Or were the whales despairing caught, as the burglars pale of Swat cried in panic, Mullah ad portas, or what? Or made each in the cabinet his mark, Kodalese Gorchakov, Swattish Bismarck? Did they explain and render hazier the policies of Central Asia? Did they, with speeches from the throne, war's dynastic entries cordials between Swat and Kodal? Holy alliances and other appliances of statesmen with morals and consciences, plastic come by much more than their own? There is very little punctuation, so my apologies if it sounds like a run-on, because it is. Made they mots as there today are no more Himalayas, or if you prefer it, there today are no more Himalaya. Oi, said the Akun, sa elat de Swat c'est moi? Do they speak? Is it? Kabu did there come great fear on thy Kabul-dozed Amir Ali Shir? Or did the Khan of far Kashgar tremble at the menace hot of the Mullah of Kotal? I will extirpate thee, pal of my foe, the Akund of Swat. Who knows of Mullah and Akun aught more than I did? Namely, in life they rivals were, or foes, and in their deaths not very much divided. If anyone knows it, let him disclose. Again, George Thomas Lanigan. Let's see. Yeah. Russian and Turk. There was a Russian came over the sea just when the war was growing hot, and his name it was Gesundheit. Tjellikavakari. Karen Dobrolikana Haudarat. Shibkadarova, Ivarditstova, Sanalik, Danarik, Varagabahat. A Turk was standing upon the shore, right where the terrible Russian crossed. Really? And he cried, Bismillah! I'm Abel Bazaru Kilganaut, so go bros. Get fin pravati kliga kaladavji grivino blivido janikudosk. Okay, at least when we make fun of people, we really shouldn't. But when we, as a culture, make fun of other cultures' names, we at least try to make it sound like they're saying and not just like he head smashed a keyboard, which I know they didn't. I think they had typewriters or something similar at this point in time. But it feels like he rolled. I have a die that has the alphabet on it, and it feels like he just rolled it 20,000 times. So they stood like brave men long and well, and they called each other their proper names, till the lockjaw seized them, and where they fell they buried them both by the... I'm not trying that. Anonymous. The next one also has a bunch, is on the longer side, and has words I don't want to try to pronounce today. So, at 45 minutes of your time, I'm going to go ahead and call today good. We ended theoretically about 85% of the way through the book, so we're almost done. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate you all. Mom, thank you for listening, because you listen to me both record and then actually listen to it again. Multiple times. I make it for my mom, and she's my biggest fan. So, anybody else is a bonus. I appreciate you. Like, share, subscribe, rate, review, any of that stuff. It helps get people to notice this podcast of my long-windedness, which I would highly appreciate. Also, if you use ToxPod 15 at any of my at mamashahdesigns.com, you can get 15% off anything on their store. There, as though it's not mine. All of those links will be in the description, as well as how to get a hold of me. Gmail, it's if you want to email me, it's toxpod at gmail.com. Tangents on Cracked Spines. Book club on Facebook, and everywhere else it's personal. It's FrankieCore92, and I do a bunch of random stuff. If you want to, and I'm available most places, including YouTube. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day. And for those of you who stayed this long, I will get a cat. Cat. It's not very bright, and she's a black cat. You mew. You won't mute for the camera? Anyways, thanks and bye.